Good evening, my dear colleagues. Welcome to another Ict Zoom talk. This evening, our guest speaker is Professor Dr. İlknur İstifçi, who is currently the head of Foreign Languages Department at the School of Foreign Languages, Anadolu University. Her research interests include teacher training, discourse analysis, speech acts, cross-cultural studies, teaching language skills, ICTs and ICTs, let's say, and digital literacy in language education. The title of her talk tonight is The Role of ICT Self-Efficacy in Self-Regulated Learning and Future Directions. It's a pleasure to have you with us, dear İlknur Hocam. Thank you very much and welcome again.
Thank you, Aydan Hocam. It's my pleasure to be here with you in this Friday evening. If you take your time to listen to me, and I appreciate Aydan Hocam's efforts and for Ict. She works really hard. Aydan Hocam and board members of Ict. I'm honored to be a member of Ict since it was founded. I'm happy to be with all of you.
Thank you very much. The screen is all yours.
Thank you, Aydan Hocam. Okay, can you see my screen? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, my title is The Role of ICT Self-Efficacy in Self-Regulated Learning and Future Directions. In this talk, let's, doesn't go, okay. Okay, if you look at the content, I will talk about digital literacy, self-efficacy, ICT self-efficacy, self-regulated learning in English as a foreign language, ICT self-efficacy and self-regulated learning, and suggestions to improve self-regulated learning and future directions. I will make it very brief in order not to bore you a lot in this evening. Okay. Then I will start with the global COVID-19 pandemic. When it was, World Health Organization announced that COVID-19 is a global pandemic, the schools all over the world were closed. There were lockdowns, curfews, and other restrictions as well. So the schools passed into the emergency remote education. What was emergency remote education? It was a survival education. It happened overnight, and most of the teachers, students didn't know what to do. It was so abrupt. So we tried to do whatever we could do, and it was an obligation, and it was a temporary situation. It didn't. We hope that it was the lockdown was for 1 week. They announced that it was for 1 week. Unfortunately, it lasted 4 months. So we turned to emergency remote education abruptly. And then we started online education. We tried to organize our teaching, plan our teaching more, but we had lots of problems related to emergency remote education. And the problems were about the learners, educators, and parents. Learners have suddenly needed to direct and regulate their own learning and become digitally savvy. And educators had to switch online overnight, and they didn't take into account their comfort level, familiarity, and training in digital pedagogies, because digital pedagogy is very important. And so if the teachers, educators didn't have enough training on digital pedagogies, it made some problems for the students and for themselves as well. And parents had to survive because they had 2 roles as parent and educators. So everybody suffered a lot in emergency remote education time. And at that time, digital literacy became an important concept because in order to navigate, critically evaluate, and use digital or digitally mediated information, we needed to have digital literacy. And it also included the ability to select and use digital tools, aligning with computer literacy, information communication technology literacy, etc. And there are some frameworks of digital literacy. It has media literacy, information literacy, computer literacy, and visual literacy. They all form digital literacy. And another framework was offered by NG, and he's the researcher who mostly studied digital literacy and the relationship of digital literacy with other skills as well. Digital literacy has cognitive, social, emotional, and technical sides. And in each of the parts, the critical part is critical literacy. A critical digital literacy arose as a need, and it is the most critical one because we need to criticize the information we reach because every information cannot be true. When we meet them in the net, we can question their trueness or not. So critical digital literacy is a must in digital literacy theory. When we come to self-efficacy, Bandura is the pioneer in self-efficacy theory. Students are active agents and can influence the directions of their learning process and achievement. And they are able to perceive their capability to solve a task or achieve a goal. And it is important for the choice and performance of activities. And when they are confident about being capable to solve a task or problem, they might be more persistent and concentrated in how they work. And self-efficacy generally relates to higher levels of achievement. When students have high self-efficacy, they are claimed to be resilient in facing obstacles, demonstrate stronger academic performance. They have increased confidence in their self-regulated learning. They are more engaged, they are happier, and they have higher academic achievement. And when it comes to ICT self-efficacy, first of all, for example, when we say ICT self-efficacy, I want to ask you a question. First of all, what are information communication technologies or tools? What comes to your mind? You can write to chat box if you want. What comes to your mind when we say information communication technologies or tools? I cannot see the chat box here. Okay. Computer, mobile phones, apps. Okay, Web2 tools. Okay. Mobile phones, Web2 tools, anything with a chip and microphones, camera, any media. Okay, that's all for the answers, I think. Let's look at our diagram. Okay, when we talk about ICTs, information communication technologies, everything related to technology, ICTs, for transmitting, capturing, interpreting, and storing information, cameras, radios, television, flash drives, laptops, computers, everything. Also Web2 tools, and camcorders, whiteboards, smart boards, etc., etc. ICT self-efficacy is an important predictor of developing digital literacy and competences. It's an important part of digital literacy. and it is involved in the regulation of students' and teachers' daily activities and interactions with computers and the internet. There are lots of studies in literature related to the teacher's ICT self-efficacy. And its ICT self-efficacy and its relationship with digital literacy and ICT integration into teaching practices. Pre-service English teachers ICT self-efficacy. And I had carried out a study in 2019, and I found a positive correlation between teachers ICT self-efficacy and ICT integration into their teaching. And teachers with higher ICT self-efficacy tended to integrate ICT into their teaching more often. And there are also studies in literature about students. There are actually lots of studies. I only wrote some of them. Tertiary students' ICT self-efficacy beliefs and the factors affecting their ICT use, the role of ICT self-efficacy for students' ICT use and their achievement, etc., etc. When it comes to self-regulated learning is the foundation of learner autonomy. It is the ability of learners to control the factors or conditions affecting their learning. It's actually a cycle. First, learners plan and set goals. Then they use strategies and they monitor their performance. At the end, they reflect and adapt their performances. Then it goes on like this. It goes on as a cycle. And there are also behavioral, cognitive, and social sides of self-regulation. It is called psychological dimensions for development. Cognitive side includes learning strategies, and behavioral side includes looking for help and use the language in a positive learning environment. And social side refers to getting help from more capable others or from the peers. And motivation includes self-motivation, taking responsibility, self-efficacy, the methods the learner used when learning the language. Learning behaviors include time management factor and social factors related to the social side of learning and interacting with the peers and the more capable others. When it comes to self-regulated learning in English as a foreign language, it plays an important role. Students with a good ability to self-regulate, they can integrate multiple components of skills, attention, working memory, and inhibitory control. They are able to achieve higher levels compared to students with lower self-regulation. And English learners have an advantage in this side because they have lots of tools to work outside the school. I had carried out another study with Russian, German, and French teachers, and they said they can hardly find Web2 tools, applications, or other ICTs to use in their classes. But as English teachers and learners, we are lucky. We can find lots of information or tools in the net. And when we look at ICT's relationship between ICT and self-regulated learning, we can say that the use of the digital literacy and the use of ICTs promote self-regulated learning and facilitate the learning process for English language learners. As 21st century students, they are making effective use of ICT tools in order to regulate their learning. And out-of-class learning is an important indicator because classes are not, studying English is not confined to the classrooms only. students can study outside the school as in COVID-19 situation. And using self-regulatory skills and having higher digital literacy affect foreign language learning performance positively. They are close students who use self-regulated learning abilities are closer to reaching learning outcomes compared to the others. And digital game-based learning has a positive effect on young learners' self-regulated learning. And through playing games, they unconsciously develop elements such as metacognition, strategic actions, and motivation. And but we have to approach game-based learning with, we have to be cautious about it, because some students or some people are addicted to playing games. They live in a different environment while playing games. They shouldn't exaggerate it. And it is also the basic of basic of metaverse, because they develop metacognition there. A metaverse is more developed version of these digital games, but we have to be cautious about it. And in terms of suggestions to improve self-regulated learning in English as a foreign language, we can encourage students to effectively plan their learning activities and evaluate the self. And we can cater for feedback on the needs of students to monitor their learning, because students don't know how to monitor their learning. Maybe we can teach them. We have to give them some examples. And we can guide, support, instruct, and motivate them. And we can provide explicit instruction on the use of ICT tools for self-regulated learning under the umbrella of metacognitive strategies, because metacognitive strategies are the core of strategies, because they are related to planning, implementing, and monitoring and evaluating one's performance. We have to explicitly teach them. And we can inform learners about self-language learning strategies, such as goal setting, seeking assistance, and transforming information. And we can improve their self-regulatory capacity and guide them through employing self-regulatory practices. Even though they study outside, for example, in COVID-19 pandemic situation, we could help them to improve their self-regulatory capacities. And in terms of future directions, what will happen to learners, or what is waiting for the learners? 21st century skills as 4 C's: critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and creativity. They are also the core of self-regulated learning. If students can think critically, they can engage in self-development, and they have higher self-efficacy. They can also collaborate with the others. Their communication will improve, and their creativity will improve by employing self-regulated learning strategies. And in terms of future directions, when we look at new media, first we started with Web 1 tools. It was only the technical properties of ICTs. The people were consumers of the technology. They didn't contribute anything to the Web 1. In Web 2 tools, they introduced and distribute media content. Also, learners or users can contribute to the content of them. They were called as prosumers. In Web 3 era, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and blockchain technologies. Web 3 is on the way. I hope we will use it in near future. It is decentralization of the learning and decentralization of World Wide Web, and it is the origin of metaverse. We will all experience this. And there are also platforms combining ebooks, audiobooks, podcasts, YouTube videos, and encyclopedias. They are on the way, and there are still some platforms: machine learning, intelligence augmentation, artificial intelligence, metaverse, augmented reality, and virtual reality. They are on the way. I want to ask a question. What do you think about the role of the teachers? By using, students can use this by themselves outside the school. They can study themselves. What will the role of the teachers be like? What do you think about the role of the teachers? Will our role change, or will it stay the same? Guide, yes, they need to guide them. Yes, Esma, thank you. Assigning task, thank you, Aydın Hocam. Students will teach us. Yes, yes, they will teach us. No teaching or learning can occur without the human touch. Yes, I agree. Emotional side is important. Leading and inspiring. There will always be a need for the human agency. Monitoring their improvement, yes. Increase the autonomy. We have feelings, so we can always be one step ahead from machines. Explicit teaching on these medias. We will keep inspiring. Okay. Yes, thank you very much. Nice answers. Okay, what is our role as teachers? Okay, we have to embrace technology. We have to update ourselves as teachers. We are not, especially I'm not a digital native. I'm a digital immigrant, but I try to learn as much as possible. And also I try to learn from my students. They teach me a lot. So we have to teach each other. We have to learn from our students as well. And we have to be a lifelong learner. Learning never ends, never-ending thing. So we have to be a lifelong learner. We have to learn, try to learn everything related to technology and other developments. We have to be a guide and facilitator. We shouldn't stay restricted to classrooms. And we have to impart knowledge with the help of experience. We can use our experience, and also we can use the experience of students in using technology. We have to help each other. So, as an end, to teach is to touch a life forever. So we will always we will always touch our students' life. I cannot think of teaching or teaching English without teachers. That's the end of my speech. Thank you very much for listening to me. And these are the references.
Thank you very much, İlknur Hocam. Well,
okay. If you have any questions, comments.
Since we are going to publish the video of this session, if you cannot see all of the references right now, you can see them as in the video. If you have any comments or any questions, please, you can raise your hand and ask it, or if you do not have a mic that you can use or have any other issues or problems, you can use the chat box. While waiting for your comments and questions, I have one, İlknur Hocam. I am also an immigrant. I'm not
like me.
Yes. And I do have several cultural problems with this digital era. But I'm doing my best, to catch up with it. There's something that really bothers me. People keep sending me messages or emails asking, Hocam, I want to study, for example, collocations. Can you suggest any sources, any sites? And I go like, you know what? Of course I can, but I need to first search using a search engine. So what is missing in the digital natives' competence that prevents them to make the or use the right words or phrases or clauses to make the necessary searches? There must be something missing because I'm not a native, but I do know how to search for something on net. What is wrong with this natives? I mean, why can't they find the right phrase or word? Do they just write collocations, and if they cannot find anything, they give up? Is it the case? Have I made myself clear?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay.
But maybe they don't want to be tired, I think, because they want everything ready for them. They are used to it. They don't want to do anything. They just want to be told to do something.
So they're using and abusing me.
Maybe.
Okay. Because, I mean, how lazy can you be not to be able to type one word or a phrase on a search engine and just click the button, and then it will find everything for you, for God's sake. So it's really surprising for me. Okay.
Can I make a comment here?
Of course. Go ahead, Ümit Hocam.
I think these natives, digital natives, they either have too little attention span and they can't concentrate on something, or else, I'm sorry to say that, but to be able to use all these digital devices, I think a little bit, you have to have a little bit ingenuity, creativity. Okay, you have to create it. So therefore, you have to think how you can do it. Okay, I mean, at the top of my mind, I can tell you a few things how you can teach collocations, for example, and probably, as İlknur just says, they may be too lazy or too distracted with other things to do the research themselves, or I believe that is the case. You are the expert who knows everything. That's how they see you. Of course you are. We all know that, but I mean,
Ümit Hocam, I do get your point. So are you saying that they want some authorities' approval?
Yeah, maybe.
Is that what you're saying?
I think I missed one word.
Okay. Are you saying that these people want the one authority's approval?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so because of our education system as well. Probably they are sort of like they feel intimidated. They don't want to do something wrong. I mean, all of these may be contributing to their lack of.
That's an interesting idea, yeah.
And
but
also,
the problem is I'm not an expert. That's the issue. That's why I said like İlknur Hoca. I'm not a native myself.
Yeah, but you are one of the big people, big authorities.
Ümit Hocam, thank you
Language
very much.
teaching.
I'm on a diet. I'm trying to lose some weight.
Well, that's the reality, right? I mean, in the country, you are an expert on language teaching, so they think that you know everything.
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Thank you very much. Ferhat Hocam, let me check the chat box. Can you follow the chat box, dear İlknur Hocam?
Yes, I
Esma
saw
Hoca says
Mustafa's
some
comment.
teachers do not like using ICT tools. They prefer delivering handouts.
Wow, come on, handout. We don't use handouts anymore.
Well, you know what? I love handouts myself because I'm a tactile person. I want to touch something. It's not, I want to hold it in my, people just tell me to read ebooks. I hate them. I have to buy the book, keep it in my hands, lick my fingers to turn the pages, make dog ears, you know. I love it. So it's personal preference. However, I believe, I mean, they are not exclusive, are they? I mean, you can use both handouts and digital tools, right? Or you may even have a printout if you're like me. Ferhat Hocam says, I think teachers need to learn fostering students' self-efficacy so their well-being will increase. Is there anything that you want to say about that, İlknur Hocam?
Yeah, I agree with Ferhat. Well-being of teachers or students? What do you mean, Ferhat?
I believe.
I think both of them.
Both of them.
If the students' well-being increases, the teachers' well-being will increase as well.
Well-being is very important, especially in this COVID-19 period. It was so important. It was not important how to teach, but how to keep or how to maintain students' well-being in this hard period.
And teachers' well-being as well.
Teachers' well-being,
they suffered a lot.
Important.
They did suffer. Mustafa Hocam says it's so much Turkish. I mean the behavior. Are you referring to my students asking me?
Yes, Hocam. Exactly.
Yes. I think what you say here, Mustafa Hocam, is in line with Ümit Hoca's statement. They are looking for approval. Am I right?
Yeah, always.
It has got to be. It has got to be, you know, related to their self-confidence and the way people are raised in our society. Do not leave them any breathing space to become self-confident individuals. That's why they seek on constant basis. They seek approval, and you know, they always need to be in control of a superior. And this is something I observed during my career at, you know, Milli Eğitim Bakanlığı High School. So I spent a lot of years teaching English. And teenagers, young people, don't even know that they need to fulfill some duties for their lives. And because this is so, because their parents don't let them do things for themselves. And when you become a university student, you don't know anything different in your life, and you need another person to control your life and the way you behave, and maybe sometimes your thoughts. That's why our students fall short of coming up creative thoughts and finding different, maybe personal ways of using ICT tools. And so on.
Thank you very much, Mustafa.
May I make a comment?
Of course, Sabri Hocam. Of course, go ahead.
Well,
please.
This is a very interesting topic, actually. I can say I have been working on it since 1984, when I first met the computer. And about 8 years later, the first lesson on computer came about. So I spent those 8 years to understand the computer, how to use it in presentations, etc. There were no presentation programs, etc. But there was just HyperCard on Macintosh. So for 2 years, I talked about it, how to create a lesson on computer in several countries. And the most interesting one was in Holland. See, they were very interested in it. Later, I was encouraged, and then tried to put it in our schools at Middle East Technical University, as you know. And then it continues since then. Now, I can observe, as İlknur said, a lot of things of these ICT usage. But the teachers have to be aware of what they are doing. And the second, the most important of all, is the students should be self-aware. They must be self-conscious on how to use technology. They all have different kinds of phones, computers, etc. But I don't know in other universities, but at Başkent University, for example, in our department, they don't know how to prepare a presentation yet. I mean, they think that if they put everything on one page, then that's presentation. No. So what I suggest, I do this for the last several years in this department. Of course, I did it before in other universities as well, but I prepare my presentations like samples, you know, in presentations, underlining, colorizing, the size of the letters, etc. And also later, I also used my voice, added my voice, I made them ebooks sometimes, just 20 pages, etc. to listen to, especially this during lockdown, when we have courses online, etc. And I gave assignments to students to prepare presentations like mine. Of course, they have to have some research skills. So when I did presentation, every presentation has a kind of link to other sites, websites, etc., so that when they read it and when they become aware that they need more information, they can already find it. I don't know whether this is for the good of the students or for the bad of the students, because they find almost everything ready.
Yeah.
That's another issue. But you have to make, as teachers, you have to make them aware that they need more information, and they can find by doing some sort of search, give a few examples, and then ask them to use. And I start most of the time with APA manual, how to write references, etc. That's also important.
Yeah.
So teachers should try to improve their metacognitive skills, actually, but it takes time. For example, I can see the results after 3 years when they are the 3rd year or the 4th year, then they come up to me. Hocam, I am doing translations and I would ask you something. So they become aware in 2 or 3 more years. It takes.
Yeah.
They are using their telephones in the classroom for other purposes, but I have some strategies. So at times I'll ask them to look for a link, etc., using their telephones in another ways. Otherwise, they are not listening. So it's ICT is good. Sometimes it's bad because
like everything else, Hocam.
Yeah, if you cannot get the students' attention to what you're talking about, most of the time they are using ICT as as computer plays,
Mhm.
and since they are sleepless, they sleep in the classroom. So
Yeah.
quite a difficult issue for this generation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This
Uh,
generation is alpha generation, I think, and their attention span is very narrow,
Yes.
30 seconds or something. So we have to use ICTs to take their interest, to take attention of them. If they are not interested, they don't listen. They don't
Yeah,
engage.
I sometimes just tell them to stop looking at their phones sometimes. Not a few people in the classroom, because I made them very strict rules. But 1 minute later, they look at it again. So I can
I think
understand their
it has
attention
become
span
a
is
kind
too
of
short.
organ. They cannot live without their phone. If they cannot touch the phone, if they cannot refer to the
Yeah,
phone,
my
they cannot
strategy
breathe.
is my strategy is, if I take away your telephones, nothing remains of you behind. So
İlknur Hocam, I would like to ask you one thing. In your presentation, you said at the very beginning of this pandemic, we just found ourselves in a terrible situation. The learners were not ready, the teachers were not ready. Do you think we have learned our lesson? Are we right now preparing our students to become teachers of the future generations, to be able to use ICTs properly?
I think we learned lessons. We learned lots of lessons in emergency remote education situation, because it was an abrupt situation. It was obligatory. It was a temporary solution. So after that term ended in 2020, we tried to plan our teaching, online teaching. We planned, we organized our teaching. We shot some videos, we prepared videos, we put them in YouTube, and we arranged our curriculum according to some mistakes we did. For example, in emergency, I talk about our School of Foreign Languages, especially. In emergency remote education, it was so sudden that we couldn't arrange synchronous lessons, for example. We had prepared videos, and students watched the videos, and we prepared lots of materials after they watched the videos. But we understood that we need some synchronous lessons. And by the end of the term, we told our teachers to have some synchronous lessons, because students needed teachers' guidance. So we took our lesson at that time, and we planned our online education according to the lessons we got. And we also putting lots of videos using ICT tools. We have to take into account students' well-being as well, and also teachers' well-being. I heard from some students of mine, old students of mine, that, for example, in prep school, they have 24 hours lessons, weekly. They put it in online education. They did 24 hours online education. We didn't do that. We arranged it with our teachers who does their MAs, PhDs in distance education. So we had meetings with them, and we arranged our online education as 12 hours a week. In other parts, students studied themselves, watched the videos, made some assignments, made the task, etc. So I think we cared our students and teachers' well-being. We didn't force them. We didn't force them to sit in front of the computer for 6 hours a day. It is,
Yeah, but we were
no
very
use.
lucky because we have a distance education faculty, right? And we have, as the university, we have this kind of experience. So we got a lot of help from them. So we were, in that sense, we were lucky. They told us that it's impossible to teach for 3 hours on the computer, right? So. Yeah, we were lucky, and many of our colleagues prepared, all of our colleagues prepared videos for the students.
But still, there is a lot to go, a long way to go actually, because first of all, the students have not been trained.
Yes, I know.
How to attend an online lesson, etc. What is an online lesson, first of all? And still, although we had some experience so far, they still behave the same way because they haven't been trained how to attend an online lesson.
Exactly.
At my university, I don't know other places. So next year, next semester, actually, we are going to have a meeting with the students, and we still continue some of the lessons online, because the teachers may be hired from Istanbul and they can do it online, etc. We have some experience now, fortunately, but we must teach them how to attend an online course still. In the classroom, the same kind of behavior. Perhaps this COVID-19 environment made students a little bit difficult. I have some difficulties in recognizing their behaviors at times, really, because they need encouragement. They don't know what to do when they graduate, etc. They have some sort of problems like that to think about those things, let alone other things. And although they have 5 or 6 courses a week, they are still complaining about having assignments, etc. So I cannot imagine a lesson without an assignment. So 5 assignments or 6 assignments, that will be, but there is something, I don't know, unrecognizable about this alpha generation. I don't know.
They say the
That's how
same
I
thing
feel.
for
Like
us. They hate boomers. They call us boomers and they hate us. So I think we should just stop blaming the generations. I think they're doing their best and they're doing quite a good job. And Mustafa Hocam, I think you also have something that you want to add. Go ahead, please. Unmute yourself.
Thank you, Hocam. If I may, I'd like to ask a question to both İlknur and Deniz Hocam. And my question is, Hocam, when you compare the level at which you achieved learning outcomes of your program, both before the period before the pandemic and after the pandemic, or during the pandemic, have you noticed any differences?
So İlknur Hocam, would you like to answer this question that Mustafa Hoca has raised?
Okay, in the first part of COVID-19, after March, and in the exams, we had to do online exams as well. And we met lots of cheating in the online exams, tasks, assignments, etc. So the next year, we changed our system a little bit. We, for example, in writing exams, we wanted them to turn on their video cameras, and they had to sit in an angle we can see them clearly in order to stop cheating. And in writing exam we did like this, and in speaking exams they had to turn on their cameras as well. So also in other exams we had a very developed LMS system called a developed part of Canvas system. It is called Mergen, and we did our exams there. And we Mergen recorded everything. For example, if the student stopped looking at the page, and if he or she entered another page, it had some records, logs. So we told the students that if they are found to go 5 or 6 times, I don't remember the number exactly, we will deduct some points from their exams. So it helped a little bit. But the first year was a nightmare for us because of cheating.
Yeah.
Hocam,
In
I
fact, I'm sorry, Mustafa Hocam. I think,
Yeah,
just a quick note, I think if a student is determined to cheat, they will always find a way. This happens in the classroom as well. I mean, of course, online may be a little bit easier, but unfortunately, we need to fight this cheating culture altogether. How are we going to do that? I don't know, because there are lots of examples in the society, and we become a little bit ridiculous when we say cheating is bad. There are so many examples. Mustafa Hocam, please go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No worries, Hocam. I'd like to learn more about how they managed the period after the pandemic at Anadolu University. It's been quite a long time since we had a chat about that with İlknur Hocam.
This year, you mean, Mustafa? This year?
Yeah, this year, Hocam, especially this year. So has the pandemic had any effect on the way you teach and assess after the pandemic?
Yes. This year especially, we did face-to-face classes and online classes as well. For example, 2 days face-to-face classes and 3 days online classes. And we prepared detailed handouts for the teachers, for the students as well. And pandemic was still on. So we wrote, if somebody has, we transferred some of, for example, the teacher got COVID-19. We transferred the class into online teaching. And if lots of more than 1 to 2 students got this illness in the class, we transferred all the class into online teaching. And we needed to take immediate actions. We were so quick to decide something.
Okay.
Is it enough for you, Mustafa?
Thank
How
you,
is this
Hocam.
going to affect your future teaching? Okay, let's assume that one day, hopefully,
That's a great question.
COVID-19 will go away. I don't know. Hopefully, I say.
We are on the edge of another pandemic, the monkeypox pandemic.
Mustafa Hocam, please do not spill your negative energy here, okay?
Excuse me.
We haven't finished fighting COVID-19 yet. Okay, the other one will have to wait. İlknur Hocam, do you think if one day the normal comes back, will we stick to face-to-face education only? Or
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay, so we will come out with a kind of blended model or
blended,
flipped model.
Maybe blended, maybe flipped model. There will always be online part, I think. We will, for example, for next year, if we have face-to-face classes, we will still want to use our LMS system because we put everything in there. We put our syllabus, materials, videos, everything, announcements, homework, tasks, homework, everything there. So it will be a guide for us, like a map for us.
Halim Hocam says hybrid will be the way. May force be with you. Okay. Well, I think we have realized as teachers that face-to-face education is really important, especially when you're dealing with language, because language is interaction. And most of the teachers had difficulty in engaging students, interacting with students. They thought that online teaching is just recording videos and giving lectures. it is very boring, it's not like the classroom situation. Well, even in conferences, when you attend a webinar, you somehow become passive, despite the fact that you don't want to be passive. But in an actual hall, if you're attending a conference, you're active there because your body is there. You're interacting with people. Maybe you're not talking, but still, So
Emotional aspect.
of course,
Yeah.
emotional, social aspect, that kind of thing. Interaction is, yes, Mustafa Hocam, I still believe that interaction is still face-to-face. Especially when you're in the process of learning something. Okay, I'm not talking about me sending a text message to my friend. This is learning situation. Well, another question I have is, there are so many tools, İlknur Hocam, as you have also mentioned. How can you help teachers or students alike to find the most suitable ones for their own purposes? Is there a magical formula for that? Or is it something that they need to find by themselves?
I think they need to find by themselves. I experienced this in my pre-service English teachers. They were doing some micro teaching and they were using, I was amazed by the tools they used. They were using lots of different tools and I couldn't imagine these tools. And it is better if they find their way instead of telling them, use this, use this.
Okay.
They have to experience. Experience is very important.
You're right, but unfortunately, we experience on human beings. So it is a very dangerous situation. Are there any other? Yes, Ali Hocam says he agrees with me and says, especially the some courses in ELT programs should be face-to-face. There are other courses that can be online. Yeah, I do agree, especially the ones that require like micro teaching, because they need to be able to observe student behavior, read body language, and get feedback from that and make the necessary modifications while teaching. With many cameras off, it was almost impossible to react. Yeah, okay. Are there any other questions or comments? We had a wonderful session here with İlknur Hocam.
Esma Hocam said she graduated from İLP. We experienced this system many years ago.
Come on.
Wow.
Reklam yok Esma Hocam. Reklam yok. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, method courses, Ali Hocam says he's referring to. Okay. Thank you very much for this brilliant session. You summarized everything so nicely. I got this wonderful, compact information about it. And unfortunately, I was looking for some kind of a magical formula from you. I couldn't find it.
I don't have, actually.
I know.
Sorry.
If you had that formula, İlknur Hocam, you would be neighbors with Bill Gates. That's that's what I keep saying, if I had that magical formula, right? So thank you very much. And as usual, my dear colleagues, thank you all for being here, being with us, contributing, sharing your wonderful experiences and ideas. I hope to see you next week with another guest speaker. İlknur Hocam, would you like to say anything for
Okay,
farewell?
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Aydan Hocam, and thank you all the participants. It was a very friendly atmosphere and I liked it a lot. I want to thank again to Aydan Hocam for all her efforts. I hope she will recover soon. No health problems again.
I hope so. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you again without breaking any other bones. Take good care of
We
yourself.
hope to.
Thank you.
Take
Thank
good
you.
care of
Okay, thank you
yourselves.
all for participating.
Bye-bye,
Okay,
everyone.
bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.